Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catriona Addleton, and I live and work on the traditional territory of the Algonquin-speaking people of the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. I was fortunate to have Dr. Matthew Little here at the University of Victoria as my supervisor, and I worked on a few different projects, but ultimately for my culminating report, I was part of a study that currently has the title, The Impact of Home Visitor Employment on Health and Wellbeing Among Newcomers. So this study was embedded in a broader study called Health in Hippie Homes. And Hippie is known as the multicultural home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters. Before I jump into a few more details on the Hippie program, I do just want to mention this is one of many newcomer support programs, and that's reflective of Canada's focus on diversity in the economy when it comes to immigration. The Hippie program itself is nationally managed by the Mothers Matter Centre, and it's implemented through a variety of different local agencies in communities across Canada. The Hippie program uses a home visitor approach, and all that means is home visitors are hired to go to the homes of Hippie participants or Hippie mothers to implement an early learning childhood curriculum. And these mothers then go on to implement the curriculum with their kids, generally ages 3 to 5, supporting parent-child relations and school readiness. It also supports the health of Hippie mothers too, because it provides them a social support system and access to additional resources where needed. Lastly, and the key piece about before we launch into about the specific study, is that often previous participants of this program are hired as home visitors. So this program also directly supports female newcomer employment. In terms of our study, the objective was to contribute to the understanding of female newcomer employment experiences, in this case, Hippie home visitors, and how that experience shapes their health and well-being. It was rooted in an academic community partnership between the University of Victoria, the University of Guelph, Calgary Immigrant Women's Association, which I'll refer to as CIWA, and the Mothers Matter Centre. And Chloe Zivit, who's a PhD candidate, really spearheaded the broader Health in Hippie Home study, and she ultimately conducted the surveys and semi-structured interviews with 11 home visitors for this study. As part of my practicum, I took on the qualitative analysis of the transcripts, and these will be the findings that I present today. So we came across 3 major themes, and for time's sake, I haven't included all the sub-themes below these, but I will allude to them throughout. The first theme was social connections, second theme, learning and development, and third, job-related emotional labor. And there are a few intersections between all 3 of them as well. When it comes to social connections, a key piece that came out of the analysis was the social support that home visitors received from the immediate Hippie team, so other fellow home visitors, as well as their supervisors. And they really rallied around each other, both personally and professionally when needed. And so this intersects with the job-related emotional labor theme that you see on the right there. As well as intersects with learning and development, in the sense that home visitors often refer to other home visitors as, role models and would go to them for support when needed. The second piece when it comes to social connections is we saw home visitors take on some of the skills that they enhanced as part of Hippie employment and utilize them in roles outside of Hippie employment. So we heard from one home visitor who became a church leader. She talked about taking some of those presentation skills that she was learning and using it in that setting. We also heard from another home visitor that took some of the skills there and was applying them to an early childhood program within her own immigrant community as well. When it comes to learning and development, learning ranged from technical knowledge on topics like cross-cultural parenting, early childhood development, and mental health to enhancing self-confidence, boundary setting skills, cultural awareness, organizational skills, and adaptability. And this was really facilitated through 2 avenues, formal and informal. Formal being workshops that were put on by CIWA or paid for external to CIWA, and then informal being kind of the day-to-day on the job, whether it was learning from Hippie mothers or Hippie participants, fellow home visitors, or their supervisors. And lastly, the job-related emotional labor piece really stemmed from the Hippie mothers relying on home visitors for emotional support, in part because home visitors faced initial challenges when they first arrived in Canada as well, so they could relate in some ways in that regard. To conceptualize these findings, we utilize the social identity approach to health, and all that means is identifying what the social group can contribute to positive and or negative health outcomes. So in this case, hippie employment acted as access to one social group. And then on the top flow chart, you see kind of that positive health and well-being space. So having a shared social identity. Oftentimes when you're part of a group, you're influenced or take on other group members' behaviors as well. And that's part of the social and psychological resources in that regard. Conversely, lack of or harmful social identity can actually lead to compromised health and well-being. So launching into how our findings can be conceptualized using this approach, really that social connection major theme had aspects of a sense of belonging and purpose. We heard often from home visitors how it created that sense of belonging, both immediately within the group, but people also spoke about their connection to Canada in that regard. And it brought them purpose. And these are two positive work-related health outcomes specifically. And it correlates with or corresponds with other research as well, where colleagues would facilitate newcomer integration into a host society through shared experiences and information sharing. I'll skip the second one. I'm just looking at time here, but the third one that I really wanted to mention today was the social support among home visitors really allowed or was crucial for home visitors to manage job stress and the emotional labor in that third theme. And that's one of those intersections between the major themes that we saw. And this corresponded with quite a few different research papers on home visitors where they found positive social support from home visitor peers as well as supervisors, reduced work-related stress. So overall, the study underscores benefits of employment on health, and in this case, specifically hippie home visitors. And hippie is just one model that facilitates female newcomer employment. And as we know, it's a major social determinant of health. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, everybody.